Today, we're stepping into the cockpit of one of the most powerful and versatile military aircraft in the world, the mighty C-17 Globemaster III. But this isn't your regular transport mission. This is about pushing the aircraft to its absolute limits, exploring something bold, something extreme, a near-vertical takeoff. Yes, you heard that right. In this video, we're simulating an extreme vertical takeoff using the power and precision of the C-17 and X-Plane 11 and seeing just how far we can take this beast of a machine. As we taxi down the runway, the weight of the aircraft is immediately evident. The C-17 is a giant, over 170 feet long, with a wingspan of nearly 170 feet as well, and maximum takeoff weight of around 585,000 pounds. But thanks to its four Pratt & Whitney F117 PW100 turbofan engines, each producing nearly 40,000 pounds of thrust, this plane can do some incredible things when in the hands of a skilled crew, or in this case, a simulator pilot who's just crazy enough to try something out of the ordinary. The engines are now spooling up. We're sitting at the edge of the runway. Flaps set, trim adjusted, and weight distribution optimized to allow for the most aggressive takeoff possible. As we push the throttles forward, there's a deep, powerful rumble that builds into a thunderous roar. The cockpit begins to vibrate. The simulated crew would feel the immense pressure as the aircraft surges forward down the runway. The acceleration is intense. Within seconds, we're racing past 80 knots, then 100. V1, the point of no return, is called out. A few moments later, we hit VR, rotate. I gently pull back on the yoke. The nose lifts and the C-17 begins to rise. But this isn't a gentle climb. No, this is where things get extreme. I pull back harder. The angle of attack increases sharply. The C-17's nose points skyward. The simulated flight model of X-Plane 11 captures the aerodynamic strain as the massive aircraft begins to climb almost vertically. This is not a standard military procedure. It's a demonstration of raw power, designed to showcase the agility and strength of a strategic airlift built to deliver troops and cargo deep into combat zones. At this point, we're climbing at an angle most commercial pilots would never dream of attempting. The HUD shows a dramatic vertical velocity, and the altimeter spins faster than usual. Within moments, we've cleared 10,000 feet, then 15,000. The engines are at max thrust, and we're riding this climb like a roller coaster. In real life, the C-17 has demonstrated steep climbs during air shows and tactical missions, especially when avoiding enemy fire or getting out of hostile zones quickly. The scenery below fades into a distant blur. The clouds start to roll by beneath us. We pass through them with immense speed. At 25,000 feet, I begin to ease off on the throttle slightly, managing the pitch carefully to avoid a stall. The flight model in X-Plane 11 is beautifully detailed. You can feel the weight of the aircraft shifting as the air becomes thinner, as the engines work harder to maintain the ascent. This isn't just a showcase of flight performance. It's a test of precision. A maneuver like this, though extreme, demands attention to detail. Airspeed, angle of attack, engine temperature, everything has to be monitored. One mistake, one miscalculation, and we risk a stall or overspeed. Now, cruising at 35,000 feet, we level off briefly. The entire takeoff, from wheels up to cruise altitude, has taken just a few short minutes, a feat that's as thrilling in simulation as it is in real demonstrations. In real-world operations, such a climb could be used in high-threat environments, where time on the ground or at low altitudes could expose the aircraft to enemy radar or missiles. The C-17's design makes this possible. It's not just a cargo hauler. It's an aircraft designed for tactical flexibility. With its high-lift wings, rugged landing gear, and STOL's short takeoff and landing capabilities, it can land on remote, unprepared airstrips and take off from them just as easily. In X-Plane 11, we're able to simulate all of that with remarkable accuracy. Let's rewind and look at the takeoff from an external view. As the aircraft begins its roll, you can see the flex in the wings, the dust kicked up from the engines as they roar to life. The gear retracts smoothly as the C-17 climbs, and then that dramatic pitch. It looks more like a rocket than a transport aircraft. For anyone watching from the ground, this is a jaw-dropping moment. A machine of this size shouldn't be able to do this, but it does. X-Plane 11 gives us tools to push these boundaries. With real-world physics modeling, weight balance controls, and detailed weather options, we're not just flying, we're engineering a scenario. And in this case, we've simulated ideal weather conditions, minimal cargo weight, and full engine power to make this climb as dramatic as possible. But what happens if we try this with a heavier load? Let's find out. I reset the sim with a full payload, thousands of pounds of military cargo, and personnel simulated aboard. The aircraft feels heavier immediately. The engines work harder on the roll. The climb is still aggressive, but not as vertical. We start to feel the limits of thrust-to-weight ratio. Still, the aircraft lifts, climbs, and powers upward with authority. Even with a heavier configuration, the C-17 proves itself. This is what makes it such a valuable asset to militaries around the world. It's not just about moving gear. It's about doing it fast, safely, and anywhere. From humanitarian missions in disaster zones to frontline resupply in contested airspace, the C-17 delivers. Let's talk a bit about the real-world legacy of this aircraft. First introduced in the 1990s, the C-17 has become a backbone of U.S. and Allied airlift capability. It can carry tanks, helicopters, troops, pallets of humanitarian aid, almost anything you can fit in its 88-foot-long cargo hold. Its advanced avionics and fly-by-wire system make it easier to fly than older transport aircraft, and its 4-engine configuration gives it redundancy and power to spare. In X-Plane 11, the aircraft is modeled to capture many of those traits. The virtual cockpit offers full instrumentation, realistic flight dynamics, and responsive controls. The realism is incredible. From the hydraulic systems to the flight management computer, everything is where it should be.